So here's the deal, ladies and gents. I got sent a game, which I have not yet seen, and I am really, really excited to show you guys this game. So I got to introduce the team. So in the southwestern side, we have a Turkish team, a Turkish stack. Now, I don't know too much about them, but I know Alberan is 2K1, top 100, top 150. And I've played Ibby before here in the red. Plays a lot of team games. He's like 1,800, 1,900. We're talking top couple thousand. And then the other two I'm not too familiar with. But I do know that these players likely stack together, all friends. These guys dominate when they play team games. They play together a lot. And then on the other side, we have we'll call the team of focus here, the No Farm Challenge team. And I know Teutonic Tanks. I know Richard, who is RGDN, however you say that. I know Draktek. And then Williams could be a variety of different people. I'll tell you what that means in a second. But anyways, even teams, no farm challenge. The team in the Northeast went into this team game, a ranked team game, and said, we are going to play this game without making a single freaking farm, okay? So you're going to have the player resources in the bottom right. I'm going to keep that consistent. That's going to be important. And on Amazon Tunnel, you have quite a bit of food to start with. So you have berries. You have deer, you have turkeys or llamas or sheep, whatever, and then you have 3 boars. And I don't know if someone can do the math on that, but that is it in terms of food income, unless, of course, you want to go towards the market. So let me do the introductions. We've got who I'll probably call Richard here in the blue, okay? But, you know, that's just what we know him for. He's playing as the Bohemians. In the green, we have Williams. Now, what's confusing here is there's currently like 10 accounts named Williams. I don't know which player this is. So he should switch his name. They did this weird like Black Forest community hidden cup thing, and they all changed their name to the same thing. I'm going to guess this is freaking Andy. I have no clue. He's playing as the Spanish. In the green, we have the Hindustanis for Dratic, who is a Czech Republic player. Very good player. You don't see him a ton in 1v1s, but he's talented. And then in the gray, we have Teutonic Tanks playing as the Bengalis, and you guys might remember him from Regicide Rumble and a lot of community games. So he's been around my community a bit. He's playing as the Bengalis. Now, upon first glance at the civilizations, I am already thinking about how trade will work, because when I mentioned this, a couple people who are watching live right now were like, well, did they trade? So let's think about this. The Bohemians, don't they have a bonus where their markets work faster? I think there's that. Spanish have a trade bonus, so you get more on your trade per trip. And the teal, you've got Hindustanis. They have a new building. And their new building, I forget what that's called. Forgive me. I rarely have seen it. That increases the speed of trade. And then the, what are we looking at over here? The Bengalis, again, forgive me, they also have a trade bonus, which I don't remember offhand. But it's like, it's something that's really good for late game trade. And we're going to, this is all going to flow in the chat. And so that's my guess. I feel like they're going to go fast feudal. And they're just going to trade like crazy. And somehow have to buy the food for all their upgrades or something. Oh, 10% of trade gold is food. Oh. Now, does that apply to their teammates? Is that a team bonus? Or is that an individual bonus? Because if that's a team bonus, I think that is the direction they are going. That would be really tasty. Now, guys, I'm just happy that people have thought outside the box here on this. We've got this massive opening over here. You can see that Furkan, the Turkish player, he's heading out here. All his allies. Look at this. The whole Turkish team out here with their scouts. This map looks freaking amazing. And you can tell they're like, hey, there's no one here. There's no one here. They're kind of treating this like Black Forest, where you tend to see a lot of forward walls. Now, on the other side, you got amazing stacks as well. You got Britons for their fantastic archers and trebs with amazing range. You got Mongols for their siege and their Mangadai. You have Italians for maybe cheaper trade and Genoese crossbow. And then here you've got Spanish for the trade. So, I mean, it's not like the other team is necessarily going for bad choices here. But my goodness, I'm so pumped for this, man. Again, not a single farm. This is a no farm challenge. And I have lost to this team over here. These Turkish guys are very talented. Again, I have not looked up the purple and the orange players, so forgive me for not knowing their exact elo, but I know the other guys are really talented. And, okay, this is good. So these guys weren't on voice together. They're just chatting. Maybe they all weren't on voice or something. Who knows? Dratek says Purpleville and Teutonic Tanks. When you say X, they're saying signal. Like X where it is. Or just having a little bit of signaling here or there. So you have enough food to go fast castle without farms. So fast castling makes sense into a lot of trade, I guess is the play. And then you would almost need someone to wall this up. Which I guess Dratek is thinking about doing. Yeah, X does mean kiss. Dratek says, I'm walling here. And we see the signals over here. Now, you're not going to see any chatting from the Turkish team, most likely because they're all on voice together, communicating. But Alperin's probably saying something like, hey, just make sure you have your scout there, and we'll just wall this bad boy up. What you don't want on this map is for someone to go for scouts or something, and then pressure you. And yeah, look at Dratek. He's going to go full stone here. And he's just going to wall this up as fast as possible. The whole team is here protecting. Isn't there something really satisfying about watching this, though? Watching all the scouts being in the same spot? I love that. And there's something about the opening here on this map that is very satisfying to look at. We casted the lower elo 2v2 on Amazon Tunnel. And honestly, the more I watch it, the more it's really growing on me, man. Now, the way trade works is the distance between the market the trade left from and the market it arrives to. Sorry, that distance calculates how much gold you get. So eventually they're going to want to move the markets as far away as possible and maybe onager cut towards the sides. But yeah, we're going to see the market there for Teutonic Tanks. And we have some scout fighting here. But it is 4 versus 1, and Richard is going to make his way out of here. You play this map a lot with a friend of mine? Yeah, it's also more relaxed, too. Like, I think the benefit of Black Forest and all those other maps is just how relaxed you can be. Ooh, okay. Good teamwork there. Also, I really hope you guys... amazing teamwork. I really hope you guys are enjoying having the chat up on screen and also being able to show the resources and whatnot. Let me know if you have any feedback on this format. But we made the tweak so I could do team games and still kind of have everything formatted in a similar way. I'm not a big fan of how this... Like, I think the coloration here I'd like to change slightly, but it's looking pretty good. The format's pretty good. Ah, okay, so this guy was Samaro. This answers... The chat answered the question. So, again, there was a bunch of players within the Black Forest community who changed their name. So, Samaro is a Czech player. Which makes sense, because he's probably good friends with Dratek. And Samaro plays a lot of team games and is very good with his eco. Chat is good for calling out YouTube stinks, says Ducks. The man who started it. Ducks who started it continues. All right, so we've got a market here. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff with the score. I like having the score up, though. I think the score's fine. It's just, if you're doing a 4v4, guys, you're going to have clutter. There's going to be a lot of data on the screen that's just, you can't get away from it. And okay, the trade has begun. The trade has begun. Now, let's look over here. Farm, 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 farm. Farm, farm, farm. Farm, 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 farm. Farm. You have lots of farms. Which is natural, because after you're finished with your berries and your deer and your sheep, you need farms for food income. So what I'm keeping an eye on is them buying food. They are buying food for stuff. Also, okay, this is... Capture Age tells me this is 0 gold per trip. This is not going to help you here, Teutonic Tanks. I mean, it might actually give him a trickle of food. I'm trying to look. Not really. I mean... I think it's like 0.01 food, but he needs to make sure he sends his trade to the other side. It's funny, he actually has a market over here as well. So he's going to try and trade back and forth, which is going to be rather awkward. Normally, you don't do that. Normally you have all your markets on one side and send it to the other. But he's probably just waiting for that to go to this market. And yeah, you could see a lot of people buying wood on the other side, but the whole team on the no farm challenge, they are just buying food. And this is going to be a boom game. So we have town centers, and to produce villagers out of town centers, you need to have farms, because you need the food income. And then on this side, we have full trade. So as much as this is a farm challenge, this is also a food challenge. Or sorry, a trade challenge. And yeah, it's going to make it pretty challenging to get food as well. But chat, just verify this with me. And I'm really sorry, I didn't watch this game ahead of time. I didn't know what the civs were, and I could have done my homework, but had I done that, then would have spoiled some things. So the Bengali bonus is a team bonus, correct? So that means there is some food income coming in via trade for every single player on this team. I am 95% certain of that. But I've never really seen a true test of how much food that brings you. I mean, this is 82 golds. Be interesting to know, like, what does 100 food, or 100 gold, excuse me, from a trade cart equate to in food? I can't wait until we see the Imperial Age for Dratek, because then he could make the building, which makes the trade even faster. The trade is going to be zooming, guys. It is fascinating to see the eco count. You can see the team who's invested in the trade in Feudal Age, they got ahead in eco, which makes sense to me. But now you're going to see the players with town centers start to close out the gap. So it is 10%? Okay, perfect. So that gives us a really good grasp of how much food you're going to get. So that's probably enough food to go imp. But it doesn't actually show as villagers on food here when you have the trades, which is fascinating. What does Dratek have on food right now? Oh, the 2 on berries. Dang, man. This is so cool. Listen, I know how to do 10% of 100, but I forgot it was 10%. My bad, my bad, my bad. Okay. Can we look at the resources collected right now and compare? Okay, so the food is way low. The food is way low for this team. But the gold is pretty high, and the total resources is even. That's interesting. I guess a lot of this also comes down to, are you going to be spending food for your units later? And if the answer is no, you might end up being okay. What's the scouting here for Alperin? Did they know about the castle? They don't know about this. Lots of market use from all these players here, trying to buy wood, buy food if needed. Trade continues. The eco is very even, but the way they're doing it is very different. They really need to make lumber camps on all the little clumps of wood here just to free up the trade path. And delete any house or mill or anything that's in the way. Oh my god. So here's what I think as far as unit comp goes. Bengalis would want to go elephants, I think, in a big team game. Which obviously costs food. They could also go for the Wrath, or the Rathas, which cost wood and gold. So that would make sense, I guess. In the teal, Hindustanis, probably Imperial Camel would be your best unit in a team game. And again, that's food and gold. If we're talking Spanish, probably Paladin would be really good. I could see Paladin working out, maybe Conquistadors. In each case there, you have a lot of food and a lot of gold that's needed. And then for the Bohemians, you could probably say monks and cannons. I think monks, cannons, maybe even halberdiers, so there is still some food needed there. But the wood and the gold, they're going to be fine with. Again, we'll look at the total resources brought in. The wood and the gold, they're going to be fine with. They are ahead in those categories in some ways. But they have not made a single farm, which is amazing. And look how late they think this is going to get. What? I love this, guys. I love this. I think this is so cool. This is what, like, Age of Empires was meant to be about. Like, theory crafting and testing the limits of the game. And this is against what you could consider to be, like, a try-hard approach, and which is, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that either. It is a war game. You're meant to win. These guys are playing with their friends. These games are really complicated. You don't want to waste your time and lose. It is crazy. I was not expecting the eco count to be so similar. I really wasn't. I was expecting them to fall further behind. But clearly, Tanks and his team, they're expecting some problems here. So they're already pre-walling the wood lines. Huh. Well, is there any scouting at all from this team to know there's a castle there? No, they don't even know there's a castle there. And I'm just curious on the food count. Like right now, Richard could actually go imp. The blue player could go imp. He has the food. So that's really good. But the other player's kind of lacking that right now. And I guess, does that have to do with the villagers? Similar amounts of villagers. He's going to be the first one to imp. Apologies, by the way, if maybe the mining or the chopping is a little loud. I got to have some conversations about the audio levels on this. It's not the biggest deal, I don't think, because generally my game audio runs pretty low. But just in case it was a little off-putting, I am aware of that. Again, what's the food count look like? Okay, so the total food brought in is just sky high for the other team. But the gold count's insane. And you can see that's obviously due to the trade profit. We have a castle here for Teutonic Tanks. He's thinking ahead. And we are going to see a castle here from the Hindustani player who's also thinking ahead. And now we now have the Bohemian player. This is really important, I think. He is, he's massing siege workshops and getting chemistry already. So the Bohemians can research the Hufnitze. And those cannons only cost wood and they only cost gold. And you're going to have the trade. So if you can just get chemistry and then Hufnitze in, you can just mass those cannons, in theory, behind walls. And now on the other side, what's so funny is, of course, they have no clue what the other team is doing. They're going to see, we're going to start to trade. Look at all these castles towards the middle. This is going to be amazing. They've only gotten 600 food from trade so far. So that means this game has to go on for a long time. Like a very long time. But then what's weird is it's not like the enemy's not going to have trade. I guess it's just that the trade over here will be so efficient. I guess that's the goal, is that the trade on this side becomes incredibly efficient. Huh. Imp now coming in for Teutonic Tanks. He will be the second player to make it to Imp on this team. The whole other team is imping right now. And we are seeing a lot of food. Look at the food price. Guys, if you were on the other team and you would go to sell food, you would see how good the rate was. And you're like, what's going on? That market must look insane right now. We have the stone being purchased too. It almost reminds me a little bit of community games where you see players buying and selling resources really early, planning for it to go late. Look, 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 look. Look at purple. He's like, oh my god, these prices. Guys, he's like, sell food. And look, Obsession is like, oh yeah. Oh, that feels so good. He continues to sell the food. He just received so much gold. Look, now Red's doing it. This is amazing. They're clearly talking on Discord, right? Sorry, I just got really loud. I don't know if it's that loud for you. I'm like screaming here because this is amazing. They just drain the market right back down. And now Richard's going to buy more gold. Or sorry, buy more food. The market has that push and pull effect, you know? If you buy a lot of food, it makes selling food better for the person who's selling it and vice versa. Huh. Okay, we have pikes coming in, which I believe is the one that makes units cheaper for the Bengalis. And then we now have Grand Trunk Road. Okay, that is increased gold income from all forms of gold income. I don't think it's just trade. We have Hufnitze coming in. This is the cannon we talked about. Now, that upgrade cost a lot of food, so it took some time for him. And then we're going to see the building. And we are going to see the building built in the trade eventually. And there's like a radius around it. Oh, wait. Pikes is the 20% attacking Rathas. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still catching up, man. But all that matters is the freaking trade right now. And look at them continue to sell food. They're like, this is amazing. Guys, the wood price. Look at the wood price. And look at the gold count now for purple. After selling, remember, he was the first one. Look at their gold count. Their gold count's insane. And let's actually check. Total resources collected. Yeah, they're still ahead, man. They're still ahead. The thing is, they're starting to onager cut for further trade, which is smart. We should probably see that on both sides. And still looking for this building. How much extra does the Grand Trunk give trade? It used to be called Sultans for the Indians. Now it's called Grand Trunk Road. And it's 10% for all gold income for... I don't think it's a team thing. It's for yourself. Now, this increases the trade for all of your team. And it's Caravanserai. It's like Janissary and Caravan combined. And they couldn't think of a unique sound when you click it, so it sounds like the Victoria. Dun, dun, dun. But this should make the trade faster. The problem then is that they kind of run into each other more. You know, there's more collisions, so I hope your insurance is up to date. Now, guys, here comes a massive push. They have to hold against this. They have to hold against this. And right now, it looks like, oh, as we see some big shots, it is Elite Longbow. It is Spanish Cavalier, soon to be Paladin. And then we have bombard cannons from Alperin. And you're going to have Rathas against, and cannons against Paladins, Longbow, Genoese Crossbow. Pretty much everyone is involved here except the Mongol player who's going to be going for Siege Onager. So in order for this to work, this crazy strategy, in order for this to work, they need to hold for a very long time, which is why they prep the walls. Ooh, okay, so those buildings actually make collisions resolve a bit quicker? Really? Interesting. I guess because of their movement speed, they don't collide as much. I will definitely believe Spirit on that one. It kind of looks like it too, now that I take a glance at it. Huh. And they're going up everywhere, guys. That's really going to increase the rate of this trade. And I'm sure, I mean, this is just so incredible regardless. I'm sure that Richard is being told, like, I hope your micro is good, buddy, because look at this and all the longbows! Where are the longbows? I don't see any more longbows. I don't see any more bombard cannons. And this unit is so insane. Also, he's got so many of them. Whoa, he's got 16. Very frustrating feeling, by the way, when you've got all this army and you just can't break past walls. Is not a good feeling. And they cannot make this. Only Bohemians can make this. So Italians, I mean, they can make bombard cannons, just like Spanish, just like some of the other civs in this team. But you're kind of stuck with what you've got.
Food, please.
We see food, please, for the green player, as Richard just continues to mash the longbows. I mean, the thing is, guys, the Pierce armor on the Hoofnitze are not bad. So, as good as the longbows are with their range against bombard cannons, they are not as good against the Hoofnitze. There's a reason, even after the nerf, everyone talks about nerfing these things more. It's insane. Okay, there was an onager cut starting here, and Richard spotted it. And so they're aware that that's happening. Now, you're going to see more fortifications and walls behind here due to that. Got a lot of things being purchased right now. I'm going to leave this up for the time being because I think it's comical to see what they're doing. And obviously the trade... I think the trade maybe started a little late for these guys over here, but they've still got the gold to get started. And they have doubled the military. It's just, can they engage with their military right now? And the answer is no. We had a ton of stone be purchased by green, so the whole strat is to just hold. And so he's making bombard towers now. Spanish bombard towers are very strong. He's getting supremacy, so his villagers are stronger as well. And, 1 second, guys. I want to tap into the game and then... Okay, that doesn't solve the problem. Anyways, I mean, this is just a feast right now for Richard. And I don't really know what you do, honestly. I mean, onager cutting, I think, is the best play for the Turkish team. But it certainly doesn't make it easy. Okay, let's pause. This is a wreck, after all. Okay, let's pause now, and let me just look at the total resources collected. Okay, so still, the resources that have been brought in, just much higher for the players who have had a balanced eco with trade. Well, they haven't gotten the trade yet, but just a normal boom. But the total resources brought in from the trade is just incredible. Like, you don't see numbers like this typically with the normal boom. They needed that trade to be alive. I'll be curious to see how the Elite Ratha's perform here. I haven't seen them perform in large-scale team games yet. But it certainly feels like a unit that Teutonic Tanks is going to be able to make a lot of. And he has 80 of them now. You can see they're separated based on their whether they're melee or whether they're ranged. I didn't know Capture Age did that, actually. And so Alperen's probably like, okay, get your paladins ready. We're about to run through here. But at the same time, a bit of a push is happening. So we're going to have a massive engagement here in the middle. Again, the Rathas can change to melee and range. And I feel like probably melee is the way to go. But uh-oh, there's now Onagers, there's Mangudai. And there's so many cannonballs! Oh my god! Oh, that's so satisfying. I'm surprised you didn't lose more longbows there. Very hard to make sense of this engagement. Very hard to cast. We have the speedy Mongol siege onagers showing up. This has gone from 0 to 100 really, really fast. And I'm just keeping an eye on numbers. There's still about 20 cannons out there. A lot of the paladins have disappeared. But that's the same for the Rathas here. Now, a quick glance over here will show you that the Mongol player is making a run in. So he's trying to make a move with the Mangudai. And if they get into the trade, obviously this game is over. But we have castles everywhere for Dratic, who's now actually making Elite Gulam, another new unit. And that is a very strong unit against archers. I don't know how good they are against Elite Mangudai. Obviously, Elite Mangudai being an archer, but Elite Mangudai are a special type of archer. There isn't an overwhelming amount of trebuchets and bombard cannons here from the Turkish team. So I think it'll be tougher for them to take out the bombard towers than they think. And then over here, it doesn't really seem like the Mangudai can progress in any further. Again, it's no farms for the team that is currently being pushed. And oh no, the cannons! The cannons are getting pushed back. This is a really bad spot to be in now if you're Richard. He needs to make more cannons and fast. I just have to laugh every time Furkan continues to sell food. I mean, they've got the gold, right? So they're probably adding trade as we speak. You can see everything that's in queue for them. And the Mongol siege rams pushing back these towers. Guys, it's 213 army versus 75. As excited as I want to be about the trade idea and just how difficult this is and just setting out to do this. Supplies, by the way. As excited as I want to be, you can't stop this, right? I mean, he would need to have 30 cannons behind here again. There's so much siege. There's so many longbows. There's so many elite Genoese crossbowmen. I don't think... Well, this will be a true test for the Gulam, because I don't think the Gulam is necessarily strong enough when there's this many archers and that many paladins. It will come down to the cannons and their hits. And we've got some massive hits there. Obviously, this now means that there's 3 players fighting. The player we haven't seen a lot of fighting from has been the green player, who's just been making towers and buying stone with all the trade. He's had no conks. He's had no paladins. Everyone on the other team is probably very confused. 700 population for Alperen's team and only 590 population for Richard's team. As still they continue to push. Still they continue to fortify. The unit queue looks solid. Like, we have a consistent queue of Rathas and a consistent queue of Gulams, which is good. Actually, I say that, and Teutonic Tanks does not have a consistent queue of Rathas. And Richard, he's struggling for the cannons. And I think what he's struggling for the most is just a spot where he can create them freely without them getting picked off. This is insane. And this is what Amazon Tunnel can bring you. Lots of fights through the choke point, but never did I expect we would have a game with 0 farms. But look at what Alperen's been able to get to. He's got 16 bombard cannons now. So now these towers are going down faster than they can be built. It was a nice attempt, man. It was a really nice attempt. But as I said in the intro, this team is just too good. They're a very talented group. And not farming is just such a painful, painful thing. kind of funny that we just saw handcart be researched, which I guess will increase the villager speed. 160 population versus 100. Well, hold on a second. I mean, there's an opportunity. If yellow loses his cannons here, oh, they're going to hold now. Elite, wait, no. We got Rams now. I'm just not seeing Mangadai, and I'm not seeing Paladin anymore. And the cannons have kind of disappeared. Not sure why that was. Maybe just an issue with the unit queue due to lack of gold, or maybe lack of pop space even. Because with the Paladins gone, the archers don't look near as devastating now. It was really about having the Paladin meat shield. And there's 8 Ufnitze, and he's still got more in queue. Talk about throwing it into the meat grinder here. More towers going up as well. Red's going Hussars? Oh, Red going Hussars is a big deal here. He's got to have some trade. Do they have a lot of trade? Let's actually look at the total trade count. I'll go back to the fight. I did notice that they started trading rather early. Rather late compared to the other team. So we have 109, 95, 61, and then 49 trade respectively on this team. Massive trade count. Versus what I would consider reasonable for Red, but a little low for Alperin and very low for Orange and for Purple, who, because I don't know them, I'm going to assume are lower rated players compared to the others. And you can see Furkan continues to sell food, so he's like, okay, I need to have more gold. And the food price is actually fantastic because of all the food that's been purchased. If they can bank up enough food, so I'm continuing to look at the food count for tanks and Dratic and Williams and for Richard. If they can bank up enough food to eventually go for Paladins and go for Elephants or whatever, then I think like they could possibly win the game. Can they push the whole map with this composition here? Look at the stone price. Look, green continues to just buy stone. I don't think green ever wants to go for Paladins here. And the food price continues to get cheaper because it continues to get sold because the other team needs trade. Classic AoE 2 economics here. They're holding, guys. Now, a lot of the cannons are going to go down. You can see what Paladins can do, man. A lot of these cannons go down just like that. It's a frustrating thing if you're Richard. And now the Mangadai are back. The Siege Onagers are back. The Siege Rams are back. But that is quite a few cannons up there on that hill. And the Wrath of Q continues here for Teutonic tanks. I want to take a quick look to the trade. Great time to get Loom, by the way. I want to look at how fast the trade is in comparison. So we got the speediest trade you've ever seen. Oh my god, it's so slow. Put your pedal to the metal. Look how fast it is over here. Wow, that's awesome. And it brings in some food, too. Interesting little stack. And also, if they keep chopping this way, which is what they're doing with their lumberjacks. Oh yeah, we even have Onager cutting from green. They could go corner to corner trade. And maybe that's when their food count really does start to spike. You see some Onager cutting over here as well. Purple will eventually get to this. Obviously, it takes away from their micro in the middle, too. So it's... don't look at that and say, why aren't they cutting more? Because trust me, they've got to focus on all this. Look at tanks switching his Rathas to melee, trying to kill some siege. A little difficult. But, man, these towers are proving to be so strong for green. I'm actually going to look at green's KD real quick. Green's KD is... oh, he has 180 kills. That's 180 kills without making a military unit. That's really good. And it's only going to continue. And if he could focus down the Siege Onagers, this is where he's actually got to micro his towers to the Siege Onagers. It'll be huge. You can see he's doing it now. Also, Red, again, trying to take out the Hufnitze, which has been consistent at about 12. I mean, he's gone between like 12 and 20. Red's continued to snipe a lot of them. And so much death, so much carnage, but 0 farms. This doesn't seem like the same game. 0 farms. Onager cutting continuing over here. Surprise, surprise, Purple starting to sell food. And actually, Purple is running really low on gold. This is where all his wood and gold is probably going into trade. Which means he will have to go... He's added stables, so he's going to go Hussar. Which I don't think is going to be particularly good. It's not going to be better than Mangadai and Siege Onager. So that would mean that maybe there's even a little bit of a push coming for the no farm team. Look at Blue's KD. I didn't get a chance to look at it, actually. I'll leave this up for a little bit because it does show important info. Yeah, dude. It's the Hoofnitze are such a balance nightmare. This is after a nerf. But also, as much as it's a bit of a balance nightmare, it is insane. Like, this is the best situation ever for them. They've got tons of meat support, and they're just firing over top of the towers or past the walls. So, that's a lovely KD there. And you can see it in his score as well. Funny thing is because of no farms, the trade cards don't bump as much on the villas and buildings. Yeah, it's true. And they have, for the most part, deleted most of their buildings. It's like they kept their TCs, but you don't see any houses in there anymore, right? They've deleted what they can. Richard's got to delete the mining camp. And now we see an extended caravanserai and extended markets that they're going to expand. And now the resources, I think, are going to go even higher now. And they're pushing, guys. But it's almost as if Richard can only move out if he's got bombard towers. So he creeps forward with the bombard towers. Did you guys remember seeing a castle there? I don't remember seeing a castle. Look how fast this goes down. This is incredible, man. This is incredible. And the other team is trying to catch up with trade right now. So they are. You can see the trade count. But they had so much military, and we're trying to push. Oh, man. Oh, come on, please. Big attack round on the Paladins. Oh, God. Or the Siege Onagers. Man, I'm so jealous. Oh! Yes! Holy crap. Okay. First off, I am extremely jealous of Blue. Second, that might be the most satisfying shot I've seen in years. How many is that? That is 17 Siege Onagers, folks. Let me zoom in on this again. All 17 stacked to fire, and they get completely wrecked. Oh my god, that was so sick. I'm so jealous of them right now. I gotta speed it up to normal speed. Oh man, he could get more big shots on the Paladins too, because the units run through these choke points, and so many of them die, including some of the Spanish villagers, but the villagers don't care. They've got supremacy, they're beefed up. And the towers continue to mop up and get kills as these units run towards the cannons. You see the spam on the market continues as clearly there's some desperation for resources for the team that's now losing ground despite having made farms and everything. And Dratek's food count is actually looking really good. The food count for green is also looking good. And the trade is now extended. So how much are they getting? They're getting 132 gold per trip. And it could be more soon. They're going to start deleting markets and rebuilding. It's a whole shift coming. But yeah, 132, which means about 13 gold per trip. Or 13 food per trip. Which is not a ton, but it is something. And it is the challenge here. As we've got some condo tieros here for Obsession. Some Britain condos. And guys, here's what's tricky. So some people are going to say, well, why don't they try and cut? Why don't we see them try and cut and hit the trade? Well, first off, they prepared for that. They have really prepared for that, even with bombard towers. But the other thing is you can't if you're starting to lose. If you're starting to lose ground, you kind of need to defend your area. And they're really struggling for army support right now. I don't think condos were the answer, and they're trying them now because they don't know what else to make. Like, how do I stop this? And this is amazing, man. Look, I mean, the execution, the thought process to get a gate up there just to block it off for your teammate, the continuous towers. We've had 3 people fighting, 1 person building towers, but that 1 person building towers has been so crucial. That castle will go down. Boom. See ya. Get out of here. And the food count is going to continue to get slightly higher anyways for all the players involved here with the trade as they're extending the trade. I mean, they can't go much further, but they're very close. They're very close to have the longest trade. You could tell over here they got so distracted. Like, now he's starting to do it. But the order of events here has been really interesting. Look at Dratek. He's like, wow, I can buy wood and I can buy food. And it's so cheap. Perfect. What's the KD for Richard right now? 825 and then 131 deaths. Granted, he hasn't made anything but these cannons. So it's like, it's not like he ever has 60 cannons. Like someone has 60 paladins to lose. But still. Okay, here you go. Here's something. Here we have some siege rams with some condos. And you also have siege onagers behind this. The rams are actually going in after the cannons. Now, bombard towers will only do 1 damage to a siege ram, but we also have 44 towers on this part of the screen. So that actually helps out significantly. And now the military count is back up for the Turkish team. They're not out of this yet. We have Green sending some gold over to Tanks. Tanks is saying he's running out of gold probably. And yeah, the no-farm team is getting pushed back at the moment. And we have not seen a lot of Rathas here for Tanks. He's clearly trying to queue up, but he's got so much trade. I actually think he's pop-capped. He has too many villagers right now. I think the issue is he doesn't have more population room. Yeah, it's a funny Age of Empires thing where bombard towers do 1 damage to a ram, but bombard cannons do amazing, and they're both shooting cannonballs. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But it's like an eagle warrior being good against arrows when they don't wear shirts. It's like, doesn't really make a lot of sense. You would think that Teutonic Knight with like all that armor would be good against archers, but no, not really. And okay, the Gulams and the Raptors are back. And Green will continue to make more towers here. So I'm trying to think, what was the difference maker there in that fight? Where they started to push it back a little bit here. I think maybe it was the condos. But also the paladins seem to be crucial. Just chucking everything right into the meat grinder. Guys, quick pause. I want to look at total resources collected since this is a wreck. Again, I've never seen it before. Okay, so total resources collected still much higher for the Turkish team. Trade count is freaking nuts, though. Trade count is freaking nuts. Almost 100,000 resources have been brought in with trade from Dratek. And then, of course, it's not too bad for the other players either. But wow. Okay, so I just wanted to look at that. You can obviously see the KD. It's mainly a conversation of how many cannons Richard has. But let's continue. Even if it doesn't work, how creative a thought, man. And to go in here against good players, like that takes a certain level of creativity and guts, because you know me, if I'm playing online, I'll be like, all right, guys, we're going to do this funny strat. And then I get a game against an actual good team or good player. I'm like, well, that won't work. So I'm not going to do that right now. And someone reminds me what this technology was, what that technology is that we just saw from Teutonic Tanks. If I am guessing, and I might be confusing civilizations, I believe that is the one where villagers take up less population space for your civ. Yeah, still trying to catch up with the Bengalis. The Gujaras, I fully understand now. Hindustanis, for the most part, I fully understand. It's that we don't see as much Bengalis. Okay, so that's what it is. Perfect, thank you. So that could have been very useful before. He probably said he was pop capped, and one of his teammates was like, hey, did you get the tech? He's like, what tech? Alright, so what does that give him? Like, it doesn't apply to trade, right? So it doesn't give him that many more Rathas, but still. I gotta keep an eye on the resources, because I think that's a continuous conversation we need to have. And the gold count's actually not looking that great for anyone except for Teutonic Tanks. And remember, the way it's working right now for Green is just making villagers to send forward to build towers. And that's the only reason he's making fills. I mean, he does maybe need some wood, but it's not that important. And then he buys stone. So Teutonic Tanks is still buying stone, probably for more castles. And my goodness. Now, this is a realistic Age of Empires 2 battle where thousands of individuals get thrown into the battle as the general's probably sitting back here, you know? It's just like, there's not as many tactics involved. It's all about bodies. A classic medieval battle. And it's a fun one. It's a fun one to watch, man. I have to say. We have pikemen being researched. We have plate mail armor being researched by Purple, which is interesting to see. I guess he's getting that for his condos. They might be considering another little push here. Look at this. We have an undercut. So they will realize that they could maybe ram down these walls and go that direction. And now would be the time to do that because they kind of have the trade team, the no farm team on the back foot. So now that the no farm team has to react, you can switch focus. We see a signal from Dratek. I think he's saying, hey, we need to keep an eye out. And yeah, look at this. Purple's immediately coming over with the rams. And those rams will break through this. Those rams will definitely break through this. Oh, we might see some army follow. Now, the downside would be if you send any army towards that opening, if you even make an opening, then you could lose the middle again. So it's a tricky, tricky thing. Whoa, what happened to the population here? The population is completely bugged. I think because of that tech. Look at this. Apparently, Richard's team has 14,844 population out of 775. Which is obviously not the case here. Otherwise, my PC would have crashed. I'm going to assume that has something to do with a decimal point that has arrived after the unique tech for Teutonic Tanks. It's probably like this. Like this affected it, and it's something point. And then a ton of numbers after the decimal. Okay, so this gets dealt with, and immediately they decide, let's clear this up and make more walls. And that's a good decision. Okay, more rams right into the meat grinder. Never before have paladins and siege onagers and siege rams gone down so fast. This is obnoxious. I'm so glad that I am not playing on Alperin's team right now because I would be so frustrated. And the thing is, they don't even know that the other team has gone for no farms. Like, they're kind of getting flexed on a little bit. You could do this with farms. But my word, look at that trade. Okay, so at what point does this game end? I was not told how long this game is, so I'm thinking about it. There's two ways. And I think I actually am going to say one way. The only way is if the trade goes down for either team. That's how the game ends. There's no... I mean, I guess you could get frustrated and you could say we can never win this. But this game will continue until someone loses trade. And that will be a very long journey. And as paladins get melted as they try and dive in, I did see Teutonic Tanks research Elite Battle Elephant. So he's going to try his best to go for mass Elite Battle Elephants with the Bengalis, which can be pretty strong. But, I mean, he would need to have a consistent flood of them, and I don't know if he can achieve that with no farms, because elephants cost a lot of food. And the food price is very expensive, as you can see. And the stone price, I mean, don't even get me started on the stone price. 829 gold for 100 stone right now. And those towers are not cheap. Let's look at the trade numbers again, guys. Trade numbers. We have... how many trade? We have 137 trade cards for green. 127 for teal. I think what might happen is Dratek might buy food, and if he floats it, he might send it over to his allies. And look at this. Green is now deleting the stables. I think he's saying, nah, never mind. I'm not going to go for stable units, or maybe it was in the way or something. I'm not sure exactly. The trade number is about where you would want it for Alperin's team now. I think the only thing is maybe they could delete a couple of villagers if they're floating more of other resources. Like, Alperin could delete lumberjacks for sure. You could... I think Orange already has. I don't know if Orange needs 74 farmers with Britons, unless he's sending food to someone. I know he's been selling a lot of it. And guys, Alperin's team are pushing back. Alperin's team are pushing back. They're making ground. It is 180 army for them again. It is 125 for Team Richard. The cannons are still back there for the Bohemian player. And yeah, he's still wrecking stuff. But there's not as many Rathas as we saw before. And there's not as many Gulams. And the food count just doesn't seem to be quite good enough for Dratic. He doesn't have many Gulams in queue. He needs food. He's going to go for armored elephants, siege elephants, which is an interesting addition. But he needs food for all of this. Is he going to have it? I don't know if armored elephants are going to do too much here. And obviously, you know, it only gets more difficult to make more towers because the price of everything just continues to go up. So I'm now thinking, as the resources are kind of at the limit, at least the resources they need are at the limit here, and the no-farm team continues to buy things, that maybe, with the resources looking much better overall for Alperin's team, that Alperin can do this. But we do have the Bengali elephants. And the big thing is they attack faster, and they also resist bonus damage, which I think would help against any of the Genoese crossbowmen if the Genoese crossbowmen were out there. And there's a lot in queue, but there's not actually many on the field right now. They decided to switch it up, guys. They've gone for the elephants. And the elephants, can they hold? Stone walls. Maybe we needed to see more stone walls earlier. Make more choke points. And guys, the stone walls have helped. The elephants have helped as well. And they are actually pushing this back. Look at this. It wouldn't surprise me either, by the way, if having 30 cannons now has had an effect. Because he's got 30 of them. Whereas before it was always 15 to 20. If he can get 50 cannons. 50 cannons. And that should end it. Or sorry, not end it. But there's no way you can push 50 of those cannons. That's what I'm saying. Is anyone else just filled with happiness right now? Just grinning? Just looking at your phone or your TV or your computer, and your significant other, or your your friend, or your right hand is just like so happy for you, but so confused at the same time. Like, what are you doing? Why is this so funny? There's just a bunch of random things getting thrown into the middle. How is this exciting? But this is with no farms. This is with no farms. This is really, really cool. And I am so happy that this game has gone on for this long, but I also am slightly concerned that this will go on till the end of time. So, here's to hoping this game ends eventually, but here's to hoping that whoever wins this game deserves the victory, and there's no disconnects or anything like that. 176 military versus 192. That is a lot of hoofnitzes. Hoofnies? I think plural is hoofnitzes. I think I got that correct. And they're all wedged in there, man. They're all wedged in. And again, look at the stone cost. It's now over 900 gold to buy even 100 stone. Really, chat? That's the only thing you're focused on? Come on, guys. No wall, please, says Alperin with frowny face. I'm looking. Do they have walls? And Dratic says no rush. So Alperin says no walls. Dratic says no rush. Like, don't attack us. Nice little banter between the players. Let's take a look at the KD again. Alperin says minute 1:27. So I think he's like, we are 1 hour and 27 minutes in. This is really long, is essentially what he's saying. KD. Any guesses? Let's look. I can't find it because I'm blind. Sorry about that. Oh my god. I know it's a caster's job to say, oh, I've never seen this in a long time, blah, blah, blah. I do a lot of that. But guys, I don't know if I've ever seen a KD like this in an Age of Empires 2 game. And that is, you know, discounting like, okay, 20 to 1 KD. Like that happens in a 1v1. But 2,000 kills and less than 300 deaths? I genuinely don't know if I've ever seen a KD like that. I don't know if I've seen anything that can compete with that. And this is only going to continue. There's no cut over here. It's very peaceful. There's no cut over here. They could consider that again, but my goodness. So again, how does it end? Okay, so we have onagers now from Dratic. So I think they've decided that maybe mixing in a few onagers will help a little more against the rams than the cannons. I guess that could be the logic. Actually, you know what it does? So let's say Dratic has consistent 50 military, which is around where he's at. It actually makes his 50 military stronger because it does more damage than one little pokeboy, you know? Yeah, it's a very good point. Someone will have to do the math later, but I'm sure that Richard has killed a lot of his own team's units, and he's actually about to lose a bunch of cannons here. I'm telling you, if he ever moves out away from these towers, it's a problem. He just shot all the way down to 20. Shout out to the Italians for having the awesome shared unique unit. There's not a lot of unique units that you can share with your team out there. So I appreciate the Italians for being so nice and so kind. Are they bantering more? Did I miss? I didn't ignore anything. Sorry. Did I miss? Oh, wait. Dratic says, sell food, guys. Good value. Alprin's laughing. And they're sending food back and forth. And Gray actually said something. He says, guess who didn't make a farm this game? So yeah, I didn't see it because of all the alerts flying in from the trade. So that's interesting. They told them how this is working. So I don't know if they would have guessed it already. But that would, if I were in Alperin's shoes, I would have probably already been like, okay, guys, we got to beat this team for walling so much. And now you hear that and you're like, oh, man, we can't lose if they don't make a farm. We do not want to be uploaded to T90's channel. That would be embarrassing. 225. It's like the motivation has arrived. 225 military, 140 military on this side. There are a lot of cannons, though. There's 40 of them back there. That's a lot, man. I feel like you need production buildings that are right next to the fight because you lose units so fast. My goodness, man. Richard about to hit 200 or 2,200 kills. Just crossed 300 units lost. If only they had a better unit than the Ratha. Like, I don't know. Like, if it would be Mangadai, how would it go? I'm just trying to think. Maybe the Ratha has actually been really good here. Obviously, they need the Bengalis. It's like they just have to find a unit that they can make that's slightly stronger. They could also, in theory, onager cut the whole way across the freaking map, which would take forever and get to the trade. But then they can run to your trade. So you would need to make a layer of walls. And everyone's putting all their focus into choke point. So yeah, there's 80 condos out there. There's a lot of condos. Well, I think it's 80 condos in queue, right? Yeah, you're right. There are 80 condos out there. And one militia. Let's not forget about that guy. Here he is. And Dratic says 8k gold, ask. So Dratic is saying if you need gold, ask for gold. And 5 is gold, please, if you don't know that already. And so resources are going to be shared. 9k gold was just sent, and I'm guessing, I'm going to show the alerts for this again. I'm guessing, why can't it, okay, it wouldn't show for me, sorry. Yeah, he immediately buys stone with it. Makes sense. So he can make more towers. Okay, so I'm trying to think. Bombard tower, exact costs. Can someone help me out? I know it costs gold and I know it costs stone. It doesn't cost any other resource. But the exact cost. Isn't it like Hold on, they're chatting again. I actually want to see this real quick. What are they saying? Balance. I think we can't raid. Cut is like bonus for them. So he's saying, it's also possible, by the way, that some of these guys are on voice and Dratic's not. But I'm glad he's not, because he says, we can't cut to them. So we have to find a better balance of our population. 100 gold, 125 stone. Okay, that sounds right. Thank you, guys. Yeah, sorry, there's just so many market alerts that it's hard for me to see the chat, but so it's important I pause to see that type of stuff. But yeah, I think that's the key. They have to find the correct balance of their population. They can't have too much trade, but they can't have too little trade. They can't have too many villagers. And so you start to look at your pop and think, okay, what do I need? And what can I get rid of? And we're talking villagers and trade carts, really. I wouldn't get rid of trade, but I would consider getting rid of some vills. This is insane. This is insane. Also, I have to say that this team not moving their trade this way. What? Guys, I'm freaking out. Okay, there's nothing outside my house. What am I hearing? This has to be a bug. What the? Okay, so watch. Okay, so I'm looking at his economy, right? Nothing. But in the corner, I hear noises. Which kind of sounds like Hoofnitz's, but what? And this corner's silent? That must be a bug, but that's hilarious. It's like right there. What in the world, man? It's the sound of Vonage, indeed. Now, guys, they talked about balance. I think the balance they need is they need the balance of Hoofnitze and just enough of a meat shield in front of it. So they just need enough units to continually die in front of the cannons. And then they need to creep their way across the whole map with lots of towers. That's it. It's that easy. It's that simple. But honestly, though, you want the tankiest unit. So if they could get the food for it, it would be elephants. Or paladins. And not this unit here. Like, this unit, I just don't see working as well. But it's also one of the cheaper units. And I think a key here to win the game for Alperin's team that maybe I haven't talked about is you should never sell food from here for gold. Never. If anything, if you're floating the gold, you should buy it. If you can price them out of stone over time and then price them out of food over time, they just won't be able to compete with you anymore. And I think they can still do it. Like, the stone is only getting more expensive. Eventually, I mean, you can't get more trade than what they have right now. You can't get more efficient than what they have right now unless they delete a couple villagers. Or sorry, a couple, not villagers, but delete a couple, yeah, villagers would be correct, I guess. But you still are maxed out at 200 total population. The market can go sky high. So yeah, you gotta farm for your food, basically, and hope for the best. The corner always has bugs. Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's always this corner, too. Right? What? That's such a weird bug. Anyways, back here. Oh, wait. Big moment. Big moment. That's a lot of rams. That is a ton of rams. And there's also a ton of Rathas here to defend from this. Now, what would be interesting is if they were to break into the trade here, but then free up more population space for some of the players who have more units queued. These Rathas actually seem to be doing really good against the Paladins, but I'm actually just excited to see Red's point of view on this. So here goes Red. He runs through. The Paladins are still Paladins. They're very strong. He's going to see this building. He'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes trade faster. He sees 0 farms. He's probably like, what? They weren't trolling? And he will kill trade here.
Wood, please.
He will kill trade. Meanwhile, this push is continuing, and it really seems like the no-farm team is not going to be able to pull it off here. But actually, the way the Rathas have positioned themselves kind of blocks the Paladins off from killing some of the trade, which is nice. Yeah, Red sees all of it. And he's probably like, guys, their trade is moving insanely fast. We have to try this next game. I don't know, guys. Richard is down to 11 cannons. The towers are just too expensive to build at this stage. Consistently, anyways, it's just too expensive. The Dratic is making hand cannons and cav archers. He's trying to do something else. And it seems like they just don't have what it takes here. There's one paladin in the trade. I'm sure that'll be shot down eventually. But anyways, just stop selling food, which they have done. Do not sell food anymore if you are the team with farms and trade, and you should be better off. Now, and this, you want to see Red's path? Yeah, this is the path he took. Now, there is a world where if the Bengali trade was at like 20% food or 30% food, maybe it does a little bit more. But the more I watch this, the more I see this amazing queue, this amazing spam from the Turkish team. And they're making ground. And the key is not even killing the cannons. The key is killing the towers. Because the cannons are going to come. But the cannons only have success if the towers are up. So every single tower that they take out is just huge for them here. I think the Paladin died, by the way. I think he's... Oh my god, the Paladin's still there. He's blocked into the corner. That's funny. There's actually no castles. It all depends, I guess, on if it follows the trade cart. It's almost like the trade's too fast. And it can't follow the trade carts. Has either team actually made progress in the last half hour? I would say so. Maybe not on paper, but I would say so. And I think the progress has all been made for the team that doesn't have to buy stuff. Right? And that would be progress for Alperen's team. And you can see the result of it, right? The consistent... They have much higher pop. Richard also going for heavy scorpions now. And taking out so many towers. It's not... The trade is not far away from this, guys. The trade is not far away from this. And so this is borderline last stand territory right now, I would say, for the no farm team. Whether it's elephants or it's Rathas, I think it's got to be Rathas. They have to continue their push. You could tell Green really wants to build up some more towers here, but he just can't get out there. Paladin's still slowly raiding the trade, which is hilarious to me. I don't know if Red is microing this or if he's like put it on a stand ground patrol. I think that's maybe what he did, so it would never follow. You can sense that the desperation's there because we've now seen a lot of players buying and selling on the no farm team, but they've also started to send resources to each other, which is important teamwork. But I'm just thinking, maybe can they have Green do something else? Probably not, right? I don't know. We got no real way of hitting the enemy trade, but we do have the Rathas here for the cannons. Surprise! Not supplies. Oh, what a great surround that is. A lot of Rathas will naturally go down here. There's a lot of things here, but he still did kill quite a few of those cannons. What do we think about the heavy scorpion choice, guys? Good or bad? The more I look at it, the more I like it. Because it feels like having 20 cannons has always been solid. And I didn't see a massive difference between having 20 and like 30. But scorpions, man, they do pass-through damage, which is a bit easier for units that are close quarters. And I think that would help a lot more with paladins, for example, any of the Kondo Tieros. Also, I like cav archers because cav archers don't cost food for Dratic. So I actually think that the CA choice isn't the worst. He still needs to get some upgrades. Oh no, he has heavy cav archer. I think he might have full upgrades now. Oh no, he's missing the final armor, but still. And wow, they pushed this back. But again, it's the same exact thing as before. They need towers everywhere they take engagements. Also, that paladin is still there. The paladin is still there. I refuse to believe he's actually controlling this. He's got so many other things to worry about. This is wild. Also, I must have missed a couple of towers that just went up over here. That's really smart thinking. We have a double layer wall over here. Oh, God, guys. This game could go on so much longer. I wish you would have told me how long it was. Oh, man. I wasn't expecting it to be this long. I actually said there's another game that was submitted to me that was apparently a 3-hour-long masterpiece on a map called Nile Delta. I said, not tonight, but let's do this instead. How naive can I be? And the Scorpions will stack, much like the Onager shots that we saw not too long ago. So you do have to be careful with them. Like right here, right here, right here! Ugh. Oh, he just used the Scorpions on the Onagers, though. Wow. How often do we get Amazon Tunnel with no farms, though? Right? It's sick. I really think if you like the big battles, which a lot of people like Age of Empires 2 for, this is a fun map. But as for the no farms thing, that's just ridiculous. That's just next level, man. And they're actually pushing back right now. They're actually doing it. Slowly, but surely, as it is now 1,277 gold and climbing to purchase 100 stone. So, with all that amazing gold that Richard has, for example, he could get, like, a castle. Not even. Like, I'm sorry, but what? The numbers are so crazy, it's like a community game here. And not a situation you would expect to encounter. Looking at the trade count again. So yeah, 145 for green, 148 for teal. It's an interesting one because teal has a lot of trade, but he's also trying to contribute with military. Yeah, don't pay attention to the population. The population is bugged here. But wow! Wow, and you know what? Every time I start to see this team struggle, we are not seeing Paladins. And maybe Paladins are a little worse now because of the heavy Scorpions? I don't know. That said, Richard's military counts at 80. Maybe that's it. The fact that Richard is at 80, and what's his KD right now? 3,700 with 500 units lost. Yeah, I guess that's half the issue, too. Purple, 20 military. Orange, 40 military. 30 military for yellow now. I mean, this is all falling apart and fast. And if more villagers start to come forward for green, and he continues to make towers, and he gets them up, it will become increasingly awkward. Wow, look at the snipes on the Siege Onagers, guys. Siege Onagers sniped over here. We had Siege Onagers sniped by the Ratha over here. The continuous focus on the Siege Onagers, which would flatten those Scorpions. There's only 3 villagers? Oh, that's military. I'm dumb. Sorry, it's been a really long day. It's been a really long day. Oh, come on, Purple, please. You gotta hit the Scorps, man. Oh, you gotta make one here. This is an opportunity. But he's gonna lose the Siege Workshop. He's trying to get the siege forward, but it continues to get sniped. And it's actually fine if you lose Cav Archers. I think the thing would be Scorpions and Cannons. Richard says, I don't need res, 17k gold. He's like, stop sending me res, I'm good. And he's got the pop now. The perfect 100-100 split. 100 eco, 100 military. And kills galore. Let's look at the resources again. Purple is really low on gold, guys. He's got mainly Siege Onagers in queue. If that's not working, and the buildings slowly go down as well, maybe this is getting near the end after all. I think a few elephants are certainly going to be looking a bit better now. There's not as many Genoese crossbowmen out there, so any elephant that arrives will probably hold its own. And that's all your job is if you're Teutonic tanks, is just use Rathas against, or elephants against the Siege Onagers. And then Green's job is make the towers. Now, we already know Richard's job. And the Dratek is supporting where he can. Dratek, I think, could start deleting trade carts, actually. Because I'd have to go back to his resources, but he doesn't have to sling resources to anyone anymore. In theory. Anyways. Sorry, all over the place here with these tables. So much information. So many stats. Yeah, like he's got tons of gold, right? I probably wouldn't delete trade right now because you're actually pushing. You don't want to lack resources and then regret it later on, but something to certainly think about if that gold count continues to rise. But he continues to buy food. Like, this is really expensive. And everyone's buying food, actually. And then we have the stone, of course, for green. If I ran in there and saw they had 0 farms, I would feel so bad about myself right now. As I'm on Alperin's team. I would feel so frustrated. Thinking about everything that's gone wrong. Just like, how is this happening to us right now? But oh, guys, big moment. I just noticed, Richard, he's got a lot of scorpions in queue. And okay, never mind. He just queued up 20 more cannons. It seems like he realized. Now, they're queued up after the scorpions. So he might not have cannons for a while. And we'll get to find out now how important those cannons were throughout all this. I've loved Orange's micro, by the way. He's been focusing down the scorpions with his range. And I think he's been able to do that because there's no cannons to hit his longbows. And now we could see the Siege Onager shots from purple onto the scorpions. He should flatten them. That's what you need to go for here. Boo! Oh, he didn't hit him. Oh, he did hit him. I can't tell. Yeah, the lack of the cannons is a problem. And this game is just getting pushed right back. They've made, what, like 20 tiles of progress just to get pushed back like this. Total military count still higher for Richard's team, though. The difference is now we've got more longbows from Orange. We've got more siege from Yellow. And a bit of a continuous condottiere spam from everyone who's involved on the Turkish team. Red's been non-stop paladins, which I think is the correct play. But Richard asking for gold. Now he's saying he does need gold, which was not an issue before. But he's got mainly cannons in queue, so he's trying to solve the problem. I love this. Low elo Amazon Tunnel is much easier to follow. But low elo Amazon Tunnel is probably not as epic either. Like, no offense to my low elo friends out there. But there's no way we're going to have something as epic as this. Is he actually cutting? Oh my god. This is risky, right? This is a bit risky. But if they could get into the trade and kill a bunch of trade, that could end the game. So let's see what happens here. Because I remember Dratic, it doesn't seem like he's on voice with them. And he said, hey, like, don't do that. It's easier for them to win if we do this. But also, you could just wall behind it a million times, and they still are going to have to cut various points. He misclicked his vills. I guess he doesn't need his vills anyways. They're going back to work. But yeah. Crazy scenes here. Crazy scenes. Because there's not a lot of defense back here, which would be my worry. He did make a layer of walls, and you can tell he's like, okay, just in case, we're going to wall this. I like how he's being extra safe about it. Delete Lumber Mingdings, which is clearly Lumber Minings, but he just mistyped it, which is funny. Delete Lumber Mining. So he's saying delete the lumber camps, is what I believe he's trying to say. And yeah, you've got a couple things deleted here. Okay, we have wood being sold and food being sold. Remember I talked about this before? I actually think selling the food is really bad. Because the more you sell the food, the cheaper it gets to purchase. Richard back up to 30 cannons, which we talked about earlier being that magic number. And the Onager cut continues. Now, you know what would be really funny is if he makes bombard towers in the trade. But I think ideally you also have army there. Also, again, maybe something to question as we hear the booming in the corner. Maybe they're scared of it or something, but they really should cut to that corner and get a little bit more trade. A little bit more gold from trade. Now, do they have an outpost over here? Okay, so there's no outpost over here. There is an outpost over here, or there was, but they've cut now further in. So this could catch them off guard. And okay, I like this. Making the towers just in case they run through. So they're kind of shifting to holding a bit more in the middle. Well, obviously they are having a lot of success here, right? Look at these look at those wraths go. right in, snipes a siege. Beautiful. This could be how the game ends, guys. Something that the Black Forest players and the Arena players and all those guys have learned is they have learned the hard way. They have been in some crazy long games, but they have overextended, they have cut through, they haven't had fortifications behind. They've done enough crazy stuff where they know this is necessary. They know the repercussions of opening this, which is why Dratek had said what he said earlier about not doing it. But there's no pushback now. There's certainly no pushback now. And we're going to see the towers. And I'd love to see maybe some Cav Archers. Like, I would say get Cav Archers into the trade, and that's the play. And what would happen is the enemy's going to have to make more trade. If they lose trade, they have to make more trade. And I want to say high five and assist out to Teutonic Tanks, though, because every time I look over here, he's sniping siege. There's so many Scorpions that could be flattened. I think his job has been underappreciated here in sniping the siege. Every time he sees it, he's sniping it. Look, boom, sniping the siege. Teal as well. Boom, siege, sniping the siege. Like, this is a vulnerable area, right? And you could see maybe, you know, this siege archer that pops out go down to an elephant. Okay, do you want to show them this? Here he goes. He just bought a bunch of stone. Do you want to show them this right now? I would say no. He's going to wall it. Okay, he's going to add the towers and then try and wall. He's going to do everything he can with 2 vills. And actually, green is the perfect color because that's going to be really hard to see in the wood line. And that's going to be really hard to see with just 2 villagers. And okay, we have a signal, though. We have a signal. And look at this. So they noticed it. And red immediately tries to plug the gap. So I guess the walls will disrupt the trade. And that also means they have to send military to address that. And I think that might end up being the biggest thing, guys. Because look at the push in the middle. Look at this big thing of Scorpions. Look at the military for Richard. Look at the elephants. Teutonic Tanks can actually make mainly elephants now. And they have to deal with these villagers, right? They have to kill these villagers. Because the towers will be a pain. They're trying to fight the villas, which is funny because it's Spanish builders and Spanish villagers. So you can't use villagers on villagers here. But we'll see if the tower goes up. You can see he's force building because he wants to get at least one and hop inside. He's done something else now. He's going to force build into the tower. There he goes. And that's just annoying. And look how many paladins arrived. So we have what? 42 paladins here. Uh-oh. Where are the paladins elsewhere, though? Oh, and look at all the siege onagers. Purple's like, where's my meat? Where's my support? And red's like, well, I had to deal with this because of our trade. Now, this is lovely. So, I would actually delete my gate and just let red run through there. I mean, just let him run through. See what he finds. See what he finds in there. Maybe that's not the safe play, but that would be the entertaining play for us. So, again, look at all the military pop. They were already struggling for military population, right? So they need the military population to be in the opening. And now red's going to have to send everything back. Also, the production buildings for red, the majority of them are here. And green is building more bombard towers. And they've been able to skip a whole section now. Instead of having to progressively build forward, they've been able to skip everything. Yep, paladins run through. They get all excited, and then they die, which is hilarious. And now we have yellow's like, okay, I'll make my own towers, I guess. 0 farms, man. 0 farms. Unique team bonuses against fantastic players. And they're doing it. They are doing it. And I don't see how they can be stopped now. Just because of how strong the army is. And also, wait a second. Wait a second. Teutonic Tanks just researched spies, which is 30,000 gold. So he will be able, this is his point of view, he will be able to see everything that the other team is doing. He had that much trade. He just dropped 30k on spies. And the thing is, the other team's going to hear that too, which is not going to feel very good. Listen, it's one thing if they can see everything you're doing. That already sucks. But the other thing is when you know they can see what you're doing because you hear the noise. That might also be the only time... Well, actually, I know that's happened in Black Forest in the past, but that's the only time that I've ever going to bring a game to my channel, where Spies has been researched in a high-level game. Well, now he can feed information to his team, and he can say where to go, so he might be signaling some things. Spies does not work for your whole team. It only works for you. So they would need 120,000 gold for everyone to get it. I'm sure the confidence is real. And I don't know what this was meant to say. I'm not sure I necessarily want to know. But there was a lot of bleeping, a lot of going on there. And it could have been in good spirits, because I once said I'm going to go archers and it got bleeped out. And we have the GG. Teutonic Tank says, sorry, don't really understand. Alperen takes his hat off. He says, GG, well played, great game. Congratulates them. And the game will end at 2 hours and 20 minutes. No farms. No farms. And a ridiculous challenge that they have actually executed. If you didn't believe me when I said at the start, like, hey, this Turkish team has talented players, you just had to watch the game to see, right? You just had to watch the game to see how good they were. I mean, they are a really good team. They're all way up there in the team game ladder, and they all play together all the time. And they got bested here, and they picked what they considered to be their best civs, the Britons, the Mongols, Spanish, and then the Italians. And I don't know, maybe they needed something else in there, but they didn't know exactly what they were going to be up against. I feel like maybe if they had Bohemians, you know, like if they had Bohemians instead of Italians or something, could have been wild. One of the craziest games I've ever casted. I hope people end up seeing this. I never know when it hits YouTube how many views something is going to get. So like, comment, whatever. Let the weird YouTube algorithm gods know that it was well received. Because 0 farms brought in or built in the entire game, and they win, combining the amazing fast trade carts with this new unique building. I love it, by the way. Thank you, devs, for that. I'm not sure the Hindustanis needed another bonus on top of, you know what, we'll talk about that later. But I love the concept. It's really cool. I love the concept of the McGalley trade, which is also amazing. And I loved the dedication to the cause, the dedication to the role that each and every player needed to play on the no-farm team. That was insane. Let's look now, and I can't wait to see the KD. 5,000 kills and 818 deaths there for our blue player. A 6-0 KD in a game where he didn't make a single normal military unit. It was only siege. Crazy. Also, the player who did not actually make any military, unless I forgot. Okay, he made onagers. So I guess onagers killed some stuff. But for the most part, it was just towers. 2,459 kills. Actually, how many towers does he have near the end? Let's just double click. He ends the game with 124. And he lost a lot. So he probably had, like, I don't know, 200, 250, 300 towers throughout the whole game. I mean, the overall KDs aren't awful for these two players who played their part. But my goodness, Britons just looked dreadful. 1,286 kills and 3,411 losses. That hurts to see. Red, who was doing a really good job with Paladins. Purple, who's doing a good job with what he could with Mongols, which is amazing. It's one of the best team game civs. He couldn't do too much either there. I love it. Now, economically speaking, with the total resources collected, we have at the very top. Now, does this... Wait, hold on. Collected, total resources. Yeah, did he actually collect the most? I'm trying to do the math here. So, he collected, I guess, a lot more wood than his teammate here who had more trade profit. I'm still, like, the map, I guess it's close overall, and that's where I'm getting hung up on. But the total trade profit, and I guess we could do the math on how much food was brought in. It was 300,000 373,000, sorry, for green, 393,000 for teal, and then of course gray and blue had insane amounts as well compared to the enemy. That is, yeah, it's a good point. He had like 190 eco units. Yeah, that's true. He had like villagers, and he had trade, and I think he averaged a bit more trade than teal or something along those lines. Woo wee! And then there's 23,000 relic gold for red. That's not bad. That's not a bad stat right there. But compared to all of this, it means nothing. I don't know if the technology stats really matters at this point. If you wanted to see the APM, I don't know if that matters. Apparently Richard is just a micro god and was moving all the time. Just so many different stats we can look at. But I'm so happy we saw this. Man, Teutonic Tanks is such a special player. Like, he and his buddies too, man. Like, all these players. I know that I don't cast a lot of Black Forest, so I don't know if they'll listen to this. And I still don't really love Black Forest. I would say maybe 10% of the games are exciting for me. But you've got some really intelligent players. Some players who have a different level of game sense that goes beyond the usual stuff. And they understand the civilizations. They figure out how to balance pop and all these weird things you don't see. As impressive. Shout out to Tanks, though. Tanks has been around my community for a long time. Not that these other guys haven't been stopping by. Tanks has played in community games, Regicide Rumbles. He was actually the one who sent this to me. He said something along the lines of, listen, I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to spam you with games, but you need to take a look at this. We played a full game with no farms. And my response was, wow, that sounds awesome. What elo were you up against? Like, come on. I mean, you're probably up against some noobs, right? And he's like, no. And he sent me the rec, and I took his word for it, loaded up the names, and I was like, whoa. Like, this Turkish team is beating people all the time. I've lost to him many times. I cannot. It's like one of the few teams where I just can't get a win against him if I'm queuing up with random. Yeah, no chance. They're very good and no slouch. So, again, enjoyable cast. Very happy that they did cut through, though, because I actually think them cutting through distracted enough population for enough time where they could go for the convincing push through the middle. Now, I don't know how I would feel afterwards if I looked and saw they had no farms, though. I would be pretty disappointed in myself and with my team. I probably would stop playing for the night and go off and do something else. But to everyone who watched this on the stream with me, appreciate it. I didn't expect it to be this good. To everyone who watches again on YouTube later on, let me know your thoughts. This does, however, slightly ruin a video idea I had. I actually recorded audio for it. It was the best stack for trade with the new civilizations. I was literally going to talk about this. So maybe it doesn't ruin it. Maybe it helps it. But I was going to upload it and say, hey, like, this is an amazing stack. You should possibly try it. Blah, 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 blah. And then I decided not to upload it with the first week of the new civilizations because we didn't have the new civs figured out yet. So I guess I can skip that project because this is the exact stack I talked about. The other one that I talked about, I could maybe do in another video where I talk about having Bengali elephants with Teutons, so it's really hard to convert, combined with this and that. Anyways, thanks again, everybody. That was insane.